What do you...
I didn't put that sign up. Tom did.
Yeah. The case sign in the background just crashed. I just said to Tom, because it fell off one other time we were setting up, and I said, I hope that happens during the podcast just because it would be pretty funny.
I was like, well, if I throw a mic on, then I can help others the way that these people have all helped me.
Born in the heart of the Pennsylvania deer camp. With the help of experts, friends, and local legends, we bring you valuable knowledge and powerful stories for your hunting adventures. Welcome to the East Meets West Hunt Podcast with your host, Beau Martonik.
All right. We are live from the Zippo and Kate. Or no, we're at Zippo, right?
We are.
Or I can't remember. We've been to so many buildings today. It's difficult to remember. But we're at the Zippo headquarters here in Bradford, Pennsylvania, and I'm joined off to my right by John Pantuso and then Tom Taylor down there on the end. So appreciate it, guys, for taking me around and showing me around here today.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you up here.
Yeah,
it's been a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's been super cool. It's funny because I've driven past this factory a million times and always say like, "Oh, look, there it is. There's where Zippo and Case is made at," but never had been able to get a tour or see it out. And I hadn't even been to the museum before, so that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that's kind of hidden. It's kind of tucked back in. And
yeah. So what did you think today? I mean, we took you on a factory tour at Case and then took you down to the museum. What did you think of everything?
Man, it was super cool to be able to see it, and from someone that comes from manufacturing and have worked in that environment, to see it on like products that I I actually care about versus okay, this goes in some part of car or whatever else that in different forms of manufacturing that I've been in, to see a knife from the very beginning to the end and something that's been over 100 years of being done. What's the exact number? How long has Case been around?
135 years.
Yeah, 130th
this year.
Anniversary, 1889.
That's so crazy. And before we go into really even your guys' introductions, I wanted to we'll talk a little bit more about the tour and everything and seeing it, but I wanted to give like a background for everyone listening on so we're at, like I said, we're up here at Zippo and Case, which is essentially the same company but different, if that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they really need a whole lot of introduction as far as into the actual company themselves, but it's really cool to me so I started working with you guys here this year, but it's really been something that's been a part of my hunting heritage ever since I was a kid. So my grandpa, as I was telling you guys, I was like, when I talked to Tom on the phone the first time, I was like, my grandpa is Case's biggest fan, which I know you guys have a lot of those types of guys out there, but every year for my birthday, I would get a Case knife from my grandpa. And just, even last week when I was in West Virginia, turkey hunting, I had it's a mini fin leather skinner there, and is that the right technical term for it? Nice.
You nailed it.
I nailed it. And but I've had that knife forever, and that's it's always been. I like the little blade for turkeys. It's just what I've had for a long time. So it's really cool and really fit. A northern Pennsylvania American manufacturing company that we got to see all the people in there doing it. What I thought was cool, and I guess I didn't know this exactly, but how every Case knife, especially in was it called the Heritage series, are all a little bit different because they're being done by hand. So.
Right, and there's a lot of variance with it because we do a lot of bone handles and a lot of natural materials. So with that, it's not going to be the same every time it comes out. We showed you where we dyed the bone and all that stuff. So the bone, I don't know if we have any good examples on the table, but every one of these trappers you look at, it's going to be that color. This is harvest orange bone, but it might be a little bit different shade. This side might be a little bit darker than this side, So it's every Case knife, especially our traditional slip joints, they really are like 100% unique.
Yeah. No, it's super cool, and getting to see from the raw material, from the different steels and and everything, and seeing how it flows through and how it starts, and it's, each person has their role in there. And what was also the really cool part was how many of the employees were calling me over to show me what they were doing. Like, that is awesome. Like, usually it's hard to get somebody they don't like, talking to somebody from the outside. They just want to be left alone, do their jobs, and they're very proud of what they do, and they should be, because it's the product is awesome to be able to see, and my favorite knife that I've had, with those leather handled ones, seeing all the work that goes into making that knife, and the nice woman that showed me, what she does there every day and how she did it so quickly and efficiently. I was like, man, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I think the lady that showed you did it for 29 years, and she loves it. And she was fast. She was really good at stacking those washers, and it's an art. Like, it was really cool to watch. Like,
yeah, she could probably do it with her eyes closed. I mean, we obviously don't want her to do it with her eyes closed, right? But I mean, like, she really could, and like, everyone's proud out there, and they're happy to show what they do. It's the same. Pretty close. I mean, obviously things change over time, but some of the manufacturing methods have been the same for 100 years, and not a lot of companies that nowadays can really say that, especially for something cool like a knife.
I know. And there was definitely some, different CNC stuff and some automation that's involved, and you kind of need that to keep up with things, but there were so many parts of it that were manually done. And for a company of this size, it was really refreshing to see that, and that 135 years of making knives, and seeing how obviously things have changed, but a lot of things haven't at the same time, and that's pretty rare.
Yeah. I think Case we lean into our heritage quite a bit. Like, we want to continue to make beautiful pocket knives or whatever, and having the people that work there be proud of it is just icing on the cake. Like, you don't want to change something if it's not broken,
Yeah. No, and it's really funny how and how the kind of relationship had started between us here. So it's like, when you think of it, and again, anybody listening, it's like, you think, it's just a sponsor of the podcast or anything. But like I said, it's definitely a lot more than that. And it was kind of cool how it happened too, where Eli, one of the
shout out to Eli.
Yeah, shout out to Eli Bell, who's an engineer at Zippo, I believe, at that part of it. And he came to the scouting camp, and he was showing me some of the hand warmers, and was like, "Hey, I'd love to get your feedback on this. I work on all this," and I think he introduced us.
Yeah, and connected us.
Yeah, connected us, and he's like, "Yo, would you like to be connected?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, I already have a lot of this stuff and use it, and." Yeah, you and I talked on the phone, Tom, for quite a while, and I was telling you about all the different knives. Now, I didn't know all the names for them. I knew what I had.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
Well, you have a million SKUs.
I say good luck trying to keep up with that.
Yeah. It's it's pretty crazy to be able to see. But before we go into any more detail on that, I want to get a little background on both of you guys. And, being from northern Pennsylvania in the big woods, just deer camp style of, this is kind of where it's born and raised at, So John, let's start with you and talk a little bit about your background and kind of, big into hunting, or how you kind of got to this point.
Yeah. Born and raised in Bradford, Pennsylvania. Sharing alma mater for college. And then I went to school for marketing, and that's really what I wanted to do. I want to work in the outdoor industry. I grew up hunting and fishing, around here. And obviously I remember when my dad took me deer hunting for the first time, he gave me a mini fin. It was black leather, so it wasn't that same one over there. But I remember when he gave that to me, that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
And so anyways, got the job back here shortly after I graduated from college. And yeah, I love what I'm doing. I'm working in marketing in the hunting and outdoor world, and my job is to help sell knives. Like, it's a great gig, and being able to like incorporate that with my interest too outside of work it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you were telling us at lunch about how you were, how you went down this rabbit hole, one to help, you do better at this job, but also just for your own interest of the different blades and just really researching a lot of that stuff and playing with it. And then you said you were out last night listening for turkeys and getting ready for the season to kick off.
Yep.
So
yep,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I've always obviously been comfortable around knives, and I've always had them, but honestly getting into this job, it was pretty bad. It kind of fueled like a little bit of an addiction with it. And, I sort of found myself like collecting knives and different things. And I don't know, I just got really interested in just like the mechanics of how knives work and different use cases for them. And part of me did it for work. I just wanted to be a better marketer, but I also just sort of genuinely interested me. I mean, my fiance is probably tired of hearing me talking about work, and then in bed at night, I'm sitting there on YouTube in my shorts, and it's just knife video after knife video. It's like I can't get these sharp, pointy things out of my head. But no, seriously, love what I do. Happy to be a part of such a great company like Case. Zippo owns us, and I'm proud to work for this company and like help support the community. Because you saw at the factory, we know every other person out there, and saying hi to them, and it really is like a close knit group here.
Very family oriented thing. From I could tell that right away, and it reminded me coming from my small town and stuff, and seeing the same things when I worked in manufacturing. But again, it's really cool. When you'd see I was walking through there and I'd see guys with Hoyt hats on and in camo and all this different stuff like all through. I'm like, okay, these guys are pumped. They're making the stuff that they're using out in the field on their own time and what they want to be doing outside of work. So that's pretty sweet. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and John also, you mentioned it there briefly, but we both went to Slippery Rock University, which if you go to there, you're usually a grade above most other people.
I'm just lucky to be sitting in the same room as you two.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, for sure. And what's your what do you?
I didn't put that sign up. Tom did.
Yeah. The Case sign in the background just. Oh man! I just said to Tom because it fell off one other time we were setting up, and I said, "I hope that happens during the podcast, just because it'd be pretty funny."
It didn't take long.
We can blame our colleague Marissa.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the duct tape didn't hold.
All right, what was the question? Because that really just threw me off.
No, you're good. No, about what's your favorite type of hunting, or do you like hunting deer, turkey? What do you look forward to mostly?
Oh, definitely spring gobbler. I mean, this is my favorite time of year. I whitetail hunt as well. I'm not as big into it as I'd probably like to be. I grew up bear hunting as well with my family. That's really my favorite part of hunting, honestly, is just hanging out with my dad and my brothers, my uncles. They all live in the Bradford area, and we always all communicate. But it seems like, at least in the fall when deer season comes around, and then in the spring and turkey season, we find each other talking to each other a little bit more than we do the rest of the year. But no, I love spring gobbler hunting. We're going to take my little brother out this weekend, so I was out listening last night trying to locate a couple birds, and yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And it's been, I don't know about exactly in this area, but it seems like the turkey populations have gotten a little better in the last few years. Mm-hmm. And that's awesome. I'm pumped about spring gobbler this year.
Absolutely. And we had a really easy winter this year too. And honestly, I usually feel like you have a lot more success in the spring when.
Yep. We've had the last couple years.
Exactly. Yeah. So. No, I'm excited to get out there and hunt some thunder chickens.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. What's your go-to knife for a situation like that?
Well, I mean, like I said, I always had a leather hunter.
You want to grab that?
So this is a mini fin. There's actually a size up in between this, and I don't know if we have one here with us, but there's a size that's in between these two that I have. But actually, now we've got some newer style fixed blades, and so these have come out in between deer season, and we launched these back in January. So it's actually probably this is my new favorite fixed blade hunting knife that we're gonna take. It's called the CT2. It was designed by a guy named Chris Taylor. He's a custom knife maker out of Arkansas.
Okay.
We worked with him, and he designed a couple other fixed blades as well. And I don't know, just super lightweight. I love the blade shape. I love the drop point blade.
Yeah, let me see that. That one is I think this will probably be the one that I use the most as far as on when weight is a factor. Carbon fiber on the handle there, super light but still a sturdy fixed blade. I like that a lot.
Yep, it's full tang. And we were talking earlier in the factory.
Yeah, explain for people what full tang means.
Yeah, so I don't know how good close you can get, but you can see the construction of the blade itself right here that's shown and exposed. This bottom part of the blade, that's what we refer to as the tang of the knife. So on you want to grab one of those slip joints, Tom. So on the bottom of the slip joint here, this little part here, that's the tang of the knife, right? So the tang actually runs the whole way through the actual full body of the knife. And most fixed blades, honestly, nowadays are full tang. Like even these other hunters, they're full tang. Like you saw how that whole how the whole construction of the knife goes through
the whole way through the middle of the leather is full metal.
Just makes them stronger.
Yeah,
makes them stronger. And this is skeletonized too. So like that was all one whole solid piece, right? And a lot of them might be like that, but it's like you take off these handles and these covers. There's still space in here. I mean, the whole construction goes all the way around, but it's skeletonized, so it actually helps with the weight and the balance, especially with the handle balancing out the blade. So
yeah, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it at first because I'm so used to the classic case look on them. But so I haven't personally used any of the Chris Taylor ones yet, but I'm excited too because they are a kind of a modern design with it, but still, done right here. I was seeing the sheets of the handles there and how you're cutting them out. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, we do. I don't know the percentage, but I mean the components, everything that goes into it, it's in house. You know, so and it's cool that we can do that. And then I don't know when we'll get into it, but that wasn't always the case. We've just kind of
case, huh?
Yeah, right. we just sort of upgraded and got some new machinery in the last couple of years to be able to sort of expand our product line. We've slip joints, the leather hunters, they're never going away, but we felt like there was some room for us to make some noise in the market with some other products. So
yeah, no, most definitely. So those would be your go-to turkey ones there.
Absolutely. Probably, honestly, like we were talking, probably the mini fin's definitely something smaller for a bird. But I mean, when it comes to deer season, and whenever I go scouting or I'm out in the woods, this is what I've been taking with me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Tom, let's hear a little about your background. Do you have anything to share?
I don't know if it's as good as John's, but born and raised in Bradford. Grew up hunting and fishing, hunting with my dad, fishing and all that. I still remember you mentioned the deer camp aspect of things. Like when I was little, I remember my dad always wanted to camp, right? We'd always go hunting the first day behind my grandma's house on the same rock, hunt deer. And finally the opportunity came up. My dad was able to purchase the camp, so we've started like our own tradition now. Nice. Of going to deer camp and staying the first night. And I don't know if John mentioned it yet, but like hunting up here it's like ingrained in you. Like we get the first day of deer season off. It's like a holiday, I don't know if it's like that where you're from too, but it's like
exactly. Everybody
is hunting on that first day. So yeah, just kind of grew up being in the outdoors, being in Allegheny National Forest. Like you want to be outside. Right?
Yeah, no. Living in a location like this, I mean, you gotta like doing things outside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, the Allegheny National Forest is just like a giant playground for us. We're lucky to have it because you go anywhere else in the country, not everyone can say that. We're fortunate. We really are.
I mean, really, the whole northern tier of PA, there's 2 million acres of public land. Like. That's crazy. The Allegheny National Forest is the biggest section, but there's so much across that section of land to be able to go to, and it's just like endless stuff that you can hunt. You were asking me earlier about, you're like, oh, do you spend more time on, public land, private land, kind of that stuff? And I was like, I've definitely hunted private and I will hunt private, but I really don't need to for most of the stuff. Like, because there's so much land available that you can always find a way to get away from people and just get out and do whatever. And like for me, it's not a public versus private thing. It's more of I just like that there's endless land I can explore and check out. Like I always want to see over the next ridge and just go check those things out. It's as cliche as that sounds, it's true. It's like I just want to see new places, and I that's why I like scouting so much more than probably even hunting, because I like visualizing things too. Even, it'd be like, oh, I could see a deer come through here and doing that. Yep. Just like,
absolutely,
man, I love that part of it.
And you mentioned that, the turkey population is coming out, but I think the deer population is too, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's not as, all the deer are running and hiding in the private land, like they're everywhere now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just think even just it's hunting still super ingrained in this area, but it's the numbers have probably dipped a little bit too. So I don't think there's quite as much hunting pressure as there was, but now it's,
no, that's super cool. And like you're saying, like the deer camp aspect and getting, John, you brought up a really good point of like how it gets like your dad and brother and stuff together more, like, and being able to do that and talk back and forth. And that's the same. I have friends that I really don't talk too much outside of hunting. Not just because everybody's busy, but during hunting season, we're texting every day back and forth. Like, what are you seeing? What's going on? Mm-hmm. And having that aspect of it.
Yep.
is pretty neat. But yeah, we've always had the first day of gun season when it was a Monday. You know, that was always off school, off work. You know, it's a holiday. Like that's.
Do you want to go back? I would love for it to go back to being Monday, the first day. Yeah. I like that we get an extra day, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, it's funny.
I don't know how
it almost
outnumbered on that.
Changed the whole feeling of it. Almost,
just the whole weekend. I don't know.
It's interesting is I have a podcast scheduled to go record in 2 days on this exact topic.
Oh, really?
The whole thing is about that.
Wow.
With some people that are very for the Monday opener, which I was for the Saturday opener, and I'm not going to go too deep into it on here, but like I was definitely for it from the standpoint. And honestly, I was trying not to be selfish because selfishly, that point when it was being changed, I already knew that I had more ability to hunt. So I didn't need that extra. I was like, oh, you know, kids and stuff and being able to do that. But missing out on the deer camp aspect of it and being able to do it because everyone's rushing from Thanksgiving right into hunting. And then also like for me, where I think you can get those days back is just adding Sundays, you know, let's have Sunday hunting.
Don't even get me started on Sunday.
Yeah. No, but seriously. And I can definitely see both sides of it, but I was interested. I came across this group that was the hunters for the Monday opener basically, or maybe again Saturday. I can't remember the exact name of it. I'll find out here in a couple of days, but I was super interested, so I reached out. There's 2 women specifically that are younger that are very vocal about it and been going to board meetings and like really pushing it. And you know, I even talk locally with people, and everyone I've talked to is for Monday coming back. You know, and I didn't think that was going to be the case, and now I've seen it affect our camp atmosphere of being able to do that. But again, I don't want to dive too deep into that because I do have a whole podcast scheduled about it. But yeah. Yeah,
it's an interesting topic. So I'm excited to listen.
Yeah. No, it should be pretty fiery, I'm sure. But no, it's pretty cool to be able to see that and see a company that's around that and built around it and having the people that are making it, you know, right there. And not to be a dead horse with that topic, but it's so true. It's not something you see across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when it switched over to Saturday, I thought maybe that we wouldn't get that Monday off, but so many people I think requested with HR to take it off so that they had no choice but to give it to us, you know. So it works out. I mean, that's the thing. Like it's always it's just tough because I've got family out of town and we're always traveling. So making that Saturday day is just tough. And again, we won't go too into it.
Yeah.
I know you will.
No.
I just had to get my 2 cents out there about it because Tom knows I get passionate when I start talking about something.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, no, I understand. But to kind of transition a little bit here so there's a couple different things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about different blade profiles, some of the blade materials, just everything, and kind of when it comes to choosing a knife. And this isn't specific, you know, we'll be showing options here from Case, but it's not case specific. It's just understanding how blades are built and what's kind of meant for, you know, what's best suited for the situation that you're going to be in. But first I want to talk about a topic we were talking about walking to lunch, which is carrying a pocket knife. You know, I admittedly, as I was late today, forgot my pocket knife. Literally going to Case, forgot my knife, but I have one in my pocket every day, all day. I always have one. I'll remember when I was probably in high school, I went to camp and my grandpa's like, "Hey, want to grab your knife for me? I need to cut this open or something." And I said, I didn't bring it with me. And he looked at me with severe disappointment. Like what do you mean? Like, you don't have a knife on you? You always carry a knife. Like, you need to always have a knife on you. Yeah. And so what are some of the reasons why someone should carry a pocket knife?
Wow. I mean, as we were talking, like, we're in the office a lot. We open a lot of boxes.
Office warriors.
Yeah. But, you know, besides that, like, the uses are just ones you don't even think of, you know, like,
cutting boxes open. Really, just about, you know, whether it's I'm in the woods, like I keep one on me when I'm hunting, not a hunting knife, but a pocket knife. case I were to fall and need to cut myself out, have a strap, have it readily available. I use my pocket knife for cutting food from places. You know,
that's very
cutting a
common.
steak up.
Yeah.
I was doing some landscaping. I was cutting some burlap or something with it over the weekend. Like just having it there is just
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always when you don't have it is when you need it. But I'm telling you, it's even like little things like this is gross. Sorry, I mean, but like picking underneath my fingernails, like having a knife for that. That's one of the things I use mine for. Like, I have mine. I always have to have one on me now. It looks bad on me if I don't. But even just as like a fidget, like just something to have on you. But it really does come in handy more often than you really think it would.
you just want to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
It keeps it's an easy tool to have on you, small tool that you stay prepared no matter whether you're hunting, whether you're in the office, whether you're on a hike, you're on a walk, you're opening your child's toys that came in the mail, like whatever.
That have some impossible packaging to try to open. Yeah, or self-defense. I mean, just all different reasons for doing that. And it's the man thing to do. Sorry if you're a woman listening, it can be a woman thing too, but it's a very if you're a man, you need a pocket knife.
And it's one of those things, it's like how people talk about archery, right? Like archery is such an old thing for humans. Well, like edge tools is also a very ingrained thing just in us to use. I mean, I think it's always, no matter where we go in the world, I think there's always going to be a world where we need knives.
Yeah, like I even used mine the other day. You're not supposed to do this, but I used it as a screwdriver. I needed to loosen up a screw, and it's like...
Yeah, when you don't have anything on you, that's what you have. It comes in handy. Comes in handy. But
we don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely cutting that up as a clip. Yeah. These guys asked me before we started, like, oh, can you edit some of this stuff? I said, yeah, but I'm not going to.
We deserve it.
Gonna stay as is.
Yeah,
that's for the best conversation.
Absolutely.
You can't be cutting that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like having a foldable. What'd you call them? The folding knives. What'd you call slip joints?
Yeah, and that's just like a certain type of folder. I mean, we can get into that. There's all different types of folders, but slip joints actually referred to the locking mechanism. Now, slip joint doesn't mean it locks, but that's what keeps the blade fully engaged, is the slip joint aspect.
The springs in the back. It's got metal springs that put pressure on the blade, so when you open it, then it locks in place. So that's the slip joint, and that's not a case thing. That's a knife industry term for that kind of knife.
Yeah, those are like traditional. I mean, those are traditional. Like that's some of the first knives in America. I mean, that's their slip joints. That's what they are.
Gotcha. No, so I always carry a slip joint, and I started using those little leather sheaths for them as we were talking earlier. I was like, I didn't think I'd use something like that, but that's kind of nice to have it and keep it in your pocket, and it just, it makes you feel, especially if you carry a small one like I do, so you don't lose it and have it there. It makes you know you have something, but it's still comfortable to carry in your pocket, that it's not super bulky.
It doesn't twist, like if you just have a knife in there, I don't know about you guys, but mine always gets like twisted and sideways, like that leather sheath. Like I was like you, I was like, man, I can't see myself using that, but I used it once. I was like, this thing's cool.
And it's cool, like how the weather wears over time too. Like it looks cool too.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Well, let's talk about blade types. So, how do you kind of want to start that, as far as like what are some of the different types of blades? And let's think about it let's start with hunting, and then like a couple of the different like EDC type blades that you have. Like, what are some of the popular ones, and what are their typical applications?
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I think the most universal blade shape that you see, and just speaking from, I guess, our product line.
And these are knife industry specific.
Yeah,
like a clip blade is a clip blade, whether it's a case or it's another company. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to start with, is a clip blade. That's probably our most featured blade it's on our fixed blades, but it's also on most of the slip joints as well. Clip point is just a very diverse blade. We call it like a universal blade shape. There's not necessarily one intention for it. It's used for a variety of different things. A lot of people could easily be used in hunting and processing game, but it's also just a great knife just because of the way that the clip point, the way it is, it's just, it makes it super easy for, puncturing things, like if you have to open in a box, any of that stuff. Clip point's one of the more popular ones.
So it's kind of like your ABC. It's just like, okay, If I need one knife to do it all, probably not be a specialty in any area, but it's a do it all. That's
so utility guy.
Yeah, the slip point.
I would say clip or probably drop point. That's the other one. That's what we have. That's the CT2 has a drop point blade. That's on a couple of our modern folders, and it's honestly too depending on what company you're talking to. They might be calling blades. There's no like rule about it, right? And all different knives have different shapes, so it's just kind of what you're classifying it as. And there's certain things that make it what it is. But the drop point is also a very universally shaped blade. A lot of modern folders have a drop point blade on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Skinner.
Yeah, you can take the Skinner. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. So the Skinner blade is another blade that has a little bit more of a belly, a little bit more of a curve on it. Obviously, it's for skinning, so you're not puncturing the hide as you're going through, but it can be used for other uses as well. That's what's nice about knives. Like each blade might have a specific specialty, but you can use them any blade for anything basically. But I'm a big fan of the Skinner blades, especially for hunting. Just processing deer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and people have different tastes as well, I think, of what they're looking for in a blade shape. Certain people might be more comfortable, like in their hand, like a drop point blade might be a little bit more comfortable when you're working in fine tune areas, or a clip point blade. It's a lot of personal preference. Yeah. Like we always say, it's like trying clothes on. Like a lot of everything's online now. You can order stuff online, but like especially with knives, I always like being able to like actually see it and hold it in person. Like when we see a product coming out, like when these were in like the development stages, the Chris Taylor knives, like they look cool and whatnot, but when we actually hold them in your hand and you see like feel the ergonomics of it, and you can actually like feel yourself like how I could jump up on the blade or get closer on the blade, and if I'm working in a fine area, like how that blade shape would be beneficial. So it really is a lot of personal preference, but I would say either a clip point or a drop point blade is probably those are the two universal blade shapes. Yeah.
And then you said it's the Skinner is the one on the CT3, right?
Yep, the Skinner's on the CT3.
So that's more of that sweeping motion.
Yeah,
like
more of the
almost
sweeping.
You're holding it.
So you're using more of the blade as you go through instead of just like this. You might just be using this point. Yeah. But when you're skinning and you have a Skinner, you have more surface area on the blade to hit as you're going down.
Yeah, so it'd be really good, obviously, for skinning deer, but maybe not as much of, say, like gutting a deer versus.
But you could,
but like that, as far as like its specialties for skinning a deer, or if you're quartering them up and packing them out, and you're doing a lot of skinning, pulling that stuff off, that would be a good blade for that type of endeavor.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's that's sort of why I like the drop point, and then like on the Trapper, we don't really see these on the fixed blades, but this is why the Trapper. I mean, that's our best selling knife that we manufacture, and it's one of the oldest knife patterns, and I guess I should say patterned is like a knife model. That's what we say that word all the time, but that's what it is.
Like the Trapper, obviously by the name Trapper, right? In the olden days, like for small game and stuff, like this clip blade is perfect. It's got a clip and a spay, so a spay blade is kind of got like a blunt end there. So I mean, for small game, these two blades, you'd be covered,
What is the spay blade exactly? Like, what do you typically do with that? Like, if you were with small game,
you want to say what it was originally used for?
I'll say small game. I'll say what it's used in small game for first, and then we'll go. So a lot of people like this because, again, the clip blade's great because it can puncture easily, but that can also be a problem, is puncturing. So like this is nice because this little ledge here kind of prevents you from puncturing if you're literally just
you're going to put your finger on it and guide yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's a lot of people use, but actually the spay blade is really popular with farmers for castrations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the history of the spay blade.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, because I do find that typically with my Trapper, because that was like the first one that I had received from my grandpa and had it and used it, was like I always used to use the main blade and never really understood what the other ones are for. I might use it for like buttering bread or something, because it was a little taller.
Yeah, hey, that's the thing. You never know what you need a knife for, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I think of case, though, I think of the Trapper and then the leather Skinners. Like those are the two in my head when I think of them. Those are the ones that come to my mind.
It's nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's on it. That's probably the majority of people and how they feel is the Trapper and those leather hunters. Those are because we've been making them for a long time.
What about that one up in the corner there? Is that still considered a Skinner blade, or what is that?
I think I would call this a clip.
Is that a clip?
But it's
you
got a
see the
little
way
bit-
the point's coming up. See the way that. But it's shaped a lot like that Skinner blade too, and that's again, it's all
but a
interpretation.
sharper, or not sharper, but you know what I mean, like a more significant angle as it's coming up.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a little bit more belly on this blade. So that's what we would call this. But yeah, that would still be a clip blade. But this is a Ridgeback Hunter. This is a great utility one because of the shape of the clip blade. You know what I mean? So John was saying, like, it's personal preference, and every knife company or knife person might classify a blade a little differently. It's because it's kind of the way you look at it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And then as far as like, say wild game processing, I know we don't have that. We don't have like a lot of that stuff here, but like for the most part, I've always used, just my hunting knife as what I would use for processing. But do you want to talk a little bit about different processing ones there? And I have like I have the chef kit or whatever the technical name for that is now. And because I always wanted a boning blade. That was one that, like,
I was going to say that.
Yeah. The boning blade. I was watching a bunch of videos of like people processing deer, and as I was trying to get better with like breaking the muscle groups down better and looking at and I think it was my friend Allie DeAndrea, Outdoors Alley, she was just talking about a boning blade, and I was like, okay, yeah, I need one of those.
So like we that's in our culinary line. We have like the boning knife and the fillet knife and some other knives there. But like if you were out in the woods and you just had your hunting knife and you wanted to break it down in the woods, or you got home and you just, like you said, you always use your hunting knife. There's nothing wrong with that.
Just clean the guts off it, please.
Maybe we won't wash it under some water first, but yeah, like this the CT3, like because of how big this blade is, this is great for quartering, right? If you had to like pop something out or get in there and get big chunks off. But then like if you were going for like the back straps or something, I'd probably want like something with like a clip blade, like the CT one. But yeah, it's almost like preference as well. I would say, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of people, it's like anything. People might have been raised using a certain sort of blade shape, and that's just kind of what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's why I always just used a hunting knife, because like we have always processed our own deer, and that's what my dad was.
My dad always used it. Like he has a set of leather hunters, and he would just clean it off. And go right to the next step.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now let's talk about the handles a little bit. There's a bunch of different handle types right there in front of you there, but what are some of the different handles and materials and some of the purposes for them?
So we use a lot of, I mentioned earlier, we use a lot of natural materials, especially on the slip joint side of things. But now, and it's been this way a couple years now, we started getting into some more modern materials, even on the slip joint traditional stuff. So micarta, I told you earlier, that's probably my favorite handle material. That's what we have here on the CT1, and also that Sasquatch Skinner there too. That's also micarta.
Like they're both micarta, but they're different.
They look so different.
Yeah, different texture.
There's different finishes, there's different colors, there's different ways that it's processed. It's like a laminate material that's compressed, and it makes it like super strong. It's super lightweight too. That's why I like it. And when it gets wet, it doesn't really lose any of the so when you're using it out in the field, your hands are bloodied and everything. That's why that, and we were talking earlier about G10. G10's super popular because of that as well.
This G10, it's very grippy, but it's not too grippy where it hurts your hands. You know what I mean? It's just textured enough. Like if you had some blood or water on your hands and you're using this, like hand's not going to slip. And the same thing with the micarta. Like it might feel smooth, but I like if this was covered in blood, I think you'd still have good control. You know what I mean? It's just grippy enough that.
No, I like that CT1 a lot. Like I could see myself carrying that a lot for hunting, because it does have that grip aspect of it. But also, like, say, like with the leather hunters, even though like leather is going to be a little bit more slippery than those other ones, the way the handle is designed is so it holds your hand in place, where you have that little lip that's coming out,
like
on
a little guard right here. So like you're good, and on the back handle.
Yep.
But even leather, like even if it was covered and it was wet, like it's still like, think of if your boot, if it's genuine leather, like it kind of has a little bit of a grip to it.
Yeah. So, just don't put waterproofing stuff on.
Right. Don't do that to your knife.
And just longevity too. I think that's why leather's kind of a good choice for this too. I mean, there's a reason. The one that my dad gave me was, I don't know, 20 years old. And just like the longevity of like a micarta actually patinas over time. which is kind of cool. So
It does what?
It patinas. That's
What
probably another.
the heck's that mean?
That's probably another knife word. I'm going to give you a little vocabulary lesson here. So, patina, like it's just like the way that it'll wear over time. It'll sort of like change coloration, and usually it's honestly pretty cool the way it
like
does.
Copper turning green over time.
So like, see the way these blades are finished on like the normal slip joints. They're super polished.
Yeah.
So like on the carbon steel blades that we have, they're super susceptible. They could be not super. They could be susceptible to rust, right, or corrosion.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of times people will force patina it to sort of give like a protective coating over the blade so it doesn't rust over time. So I actually stuck this knife here. See how it turned black?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? And I actually put apple cider vinegar in a coffee mug and microwaved it for like a minute and a half, and then I just stuck the blade in there for like, I don't know, minute or two, and it turned the blade black, and now it's essentially a protective coating over the blade.
You can stick one in. You can stick it in a potato. You can do an apple.
Really?
Yeah, you let it sit there for a little while, and then you pull it out, and it
I swear I'm not joking. I swear I'm not kidding. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I wouldn't think you'd lie to the people listening here to ruin all their knives.
But so yeah, my Carter will do the same thing.
Yeah.
I was actually down in Arkansas at Chris Taylor's custom knife shop like a month or so ago, and he was showing me kind of how micarta. I actually really didn't know that, and he was actually kind of filling me in on that, which I do recommend going out and checking his stuff because he's an awesome dude that knows a ton about knives and he loves talking about it. But yeah, it was really cool when he said micarta sort of textures and patinas over time. So it's
like this Sasquatch Skinner right here. It's part of our Pro Series, and this hunting season I used the RW Caper on my deer. And it got, same color handle, micarta handle, and it got covered in blood and dirt and stuff. And it actually looks cooler now after I've washed it off and everything. And, like, you kind of get some patterns in there, and it darkens up and smooths out. Like, micarta's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it definitely seems like it. And then one thing that I forgot to ask with the blades is the different blade, not like shape, but the materials that are made out of. So do you want to explain a little bit about some of the materials used and why they're used?
So the traditional slip joints, for the most part, you're going to find are mirror polished, true sharp surgical steel. So that's a stainless steel blade. And then we also have like the one my Sodbuster Junior here I was just showing. That's carbon steel. So that's 1095, which is also on the CT3 there. That's 1095 as well. There's different steels. So there's four main things when you're looking at steel types. And there's toughness, there's edge retention, there's ease of sharpening, and then there's rust resistance. So normally you can only have two of the four. I'm not saying that they're going to lack in those other two, but in order to achieve two strengths out of those four, you're going to be lacking in two others. So that's universal across the board, no matter what. So then we've also got the S35VN, which is what we use on our modern folders, so like the Marilla, Kinzu, like that. And then we've also got Nitro V that we use that's on the CT1. And what else? Oh, CPM20CV. So CPM20CV, S35VN, this Nitro V, those are actually newer steels that we've just started using within like the last couple of years. And because we have machinery out in the factory, now that's thick, it comes in on those metal sheets, and that stuff is thick.
Yeah.
We didn't have a water jet before, but now all of a sudden we've got a water jet, and all of a sudden it opens up all these avenues for us to use higher grade materials, because these are a little bit more expensive using steels like S35VN, CPM20CV over the carbon steel 1095 and the true sharp surgical steel. I always mess up my words when I try to stick them all together. So yeah, like there's different advantages. So like, I mean, we can get into like, at least on like the hunting side of things, like what a lot of people kind of look for in it.
Yeah, explain that.
There's like there's preference, right? Like if you're going to be out in the woods for a long time and using your knife a lot, like you're going to want one that's easy to sharpen in the field, right? So you're going to want like a 1095. It's a softer steel. It still holds an edge, but it can corrode and all that stuff. But there's ways to fight that too. Like this is a 1095. This is a 1095. This is a Caswell finish that you can put over the knife, that kind of protects it so it doesn't rust. And this is a what is this, powder coat finish on this CT?
I think that's DLC. Is it black?
Yeah,
DLC diamond light coating. So
okay.
It's not patina like I did on mine, but it's the same idea.
So it's a protectant, right? So it kind of artificially adds in a third, like John was saying. So it kind of depends on what you're looking to do out in the woods. But like if you're out there for a long time, you want ease of sharpening. If you're processing game, you want something that holds an edge, right? So you kind of have to.
Yeah, you don't want your blade like he was saying. If you're quartering something, you really got to prior pops on. Like you don't want something that's lacks in toughness and snaps when you're doing it. You know, so there's really interesting. There's a lot of good like websites out there that have some more like deep information on that stuff. It's a lot of details, and I mean I'm no chemist or anything. I'm no metallurgist or whatever they're called.
And probably for the most part, it's not going to matter that much. No. So, you could probably go down as many rabbit holes as you want. Like you can with archery. It's like, you can go into every little detail of things and building an arrow and overthink it. Or, and I love doing that. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that you can also buy an arrow and shoot it and it's going to work.
Right. It's like, how heavy of an arrow do I shoot, or what kind of fletching do I have on it? Well, it's kind of the same thing with knives.
Yeah. And then again, like I love diving deep into that stuff as I am like learning with knives and everything. But it's, if you're getting to a point where you're overwhelmed with it, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
That's my point with that part of it. But as far as sharpening in the field, what are some recommendations you have there? As far as like, do you carry like an actual stone with you? Do you have like a little small like pocket one that like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean there's plenty of pocket ones out there that will probably work okay for you if you're out in the field. So that's an option. I probably wouldn't recommend carrying an actual sharpening stone with you out in the field. That's just added weight, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the pocket ones, there's a ton of them out there anymore, and the technology is so good on all of them. As long as you don't completely lose your edge, you should be able to bring it back with like a pocket sharpener. But like if you're really in a pinch, you can always find like a stream, get like a river rock, like a nice flat one, get it wet, and you can kind of use that as a stone. So I actually watched Laramie Miller, helped us design this knife. He sharpened his on a stone in Montana, and he got it pretty sharp. I was pretty surprised. Like I had never thought of doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something to keep in the back of your mind if you get in a pinch.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm gonna have to get him. Yeah, I know you had told me before you'd introduced me to him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get him on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, he'd be a good
awesome.
one.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he's got that Western blood in him out there in Colorado and Montana and all that stuff. Yep.
He makes me feel really short too. He is a massive man.
Is he?
He's a big dude.
Yes.
They call him Sasquatch for a reason. He's a big dude.
I guess that makes sense. I guess I wasn't sure if they called him that because of like being in the woods all the time, or if it's his size or a mixture of both.
He's a mountain man.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's why, like, with the people that are listening here, a lot there's a mixture of guys and girls that are just deer hunting with them, and then there's ones that do like myself of like, okay, they're going to deer hunt majority of the time, but they have like one western trip a year and they're backpacking for elk in Colorado and going after it. So that's why like understanding the different blades and sharpening them and doing that just is definitely important. And is are all the knives different as far as like the angle of the blade, or do you guys have kind of a standard?
That is what we refer to as the blade grind. So like when we were going through the factory today, I wish I could have had one here so we could maybe show it on camera, but there's when you get the blade itself, there's no edge formed on it yet. So what the blade grind is it's where you're starting to form that edge. So there's different kinds of blade grinds out there. So we usually do flat grind, which is just essentially from, like if you're looking at let me try to find one here. That one. Can you grab so like you can see here how like this is the thickness of the blade, right?
Yep.
So when this would have came out of the water jet, it would have just been a thick slab all the way throughout. But when it goes through the grinding process, it actually starts forming that blade down and works it into an edge. So that's a flat grind. I mean, you can see that it's just dropping right down flat right to the blade. But then there's other ones we do concave. There's hollow grinds. We do that on the
slip joints.
On the slip joints, yep. So there's just all different ways that the edge can form. At the end of the day, it's doing the same thing. It's getting you an edge. But a lot of people, sometimes you want something that's like a flat grind, might be a little bit more slicier, people call it, than maybe something that's like a concave, or I'm just thinking here, but like something that there's different use cases for it, like anything. But
I guess the reason for that question is like, say I have like a really small mini sharpener. It's from from iron will, it's like weighs like an ounce, you know, and it works for my broadheads too, but it's a 30 degree.
Oh,
angle.
like the angle.
The
on
angle
okay,
on
I
it.
gotcha.
Yep.
So like, was there any specifics as far as like?
I can speak on their slip joints because when I was out sharpening knives on the Stay Sharp tour, I always have a little sharpener that I try to keep it, I believe, between 22 to 25 degrees on the angle. But like the grind does play a new effect, like what that grind should be. If it's flatter, you kind of just have to see where the edge is and sort of work the angle on it right to make sure that you're getting the edge even on both sides of the blade too. That's also important because there is a chisel. It's called the chisel grind where, you know, it's essentially like this, and then the other edge comes to it like this, so it's formed like a chisel. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's sort of all the same thing. You're just trying to form that edge.
But you brought up a good point. Like, you almost need to know what the angle of the edges on your blade if you're going to be sharpening it in the field. Like, you wouldn't. It would work, but it would be harder to get that angle back when you get home, like on a real sharpener.
Yeah, that's because like I said, the one I have is in a V shape, so it's already you're not doing one side at a time. You're just going straight down the center, and I always worried like, I'm not sure, what angle this is, but I'm resharpening it. Am I screwing myself up, And then that's when I, give it to, my brother or somebody else that has like a full on belt and stuff that they do it on to fix my problems.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking that question, but no, it's super interesting to see all the different components of something so simple. It's like a knife.
There's so many ways you can change it and modify it, and options. When no one knife is the same as the next one. It's
no, and that's it's really difficult to make a one size fits all because if you do that in anything, it's lacking in other areas. You know? So that's why there are so many different variations, and you guys just have so many of your customers that just want a million different variations of things. Not saying different like blades and everything, but as far as like the designs.
Yep.
If you, that's what I was joking with you guys. You go on Case's website, you're overwhelmed from how many different SKUs there are.
Yeah. There's a ton
of different colorways and all of that stuff. But there's a very loyal following.
I think that's kind of what separates Case a little bit from some others is like the variety that Case offers with the different, as a pattern, which is the shape. There's different patterns. People have different size hands or different uses, so there's different patterns and sizes for different things. So we like to have a little bit of a variety.
And we have like a full product line too. Like we make traditional slip joints. We make modern folders. We make heritage style classic fixed blades. We make modern style fixed blades now. So we're, this is the last couple of years is when we started getting into this modern stuff. We've got a culinary line. We really do have like sort of a full, if you're, looking to pick up your first knife, like, we've got a lot of different options out there.
Yeah. And I don't think I asked you, Tom, what are some of your favorite go-tos out of the line that you take with you when you're going hunting?
Yeah, if I'm going hunting, so I'm a big fan of the CT1. I like the clip blade, because it's very utility, and I like some knives will have like some texture on top of the blade. It's called jimping. Gives you some, just so your thumb doesn't slip off.
Yeah, some dexterity.
Yeah, like there's the shape of the handle, the micarta, the weight. Like this would be my go-to for like deer or larger game. John and I are kind of spoiled. Like we get to test these, so we kind of have our pick of what we want to use each year. But yeah, that would be my go-to for hunting for sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And the other thing with like, so if you were to have something say for example, last year I went on a moose hunt in Alaska and I'm getting dropped off and everything. And I'm like, okay, I need something that I can, cut some firewood with. And we were talking earlier a little bit about hatchets and stuff, but they can be super dangerous. And I've seen, and where guys are using knives and, pounding on the back of them. Are there any ones that are like, okay, you're like, oh, or don't you recommend from the manufacturer?
We've got some, actually. I wish we had them sitting here.
Actually, I didn't prepare you guys.
That's okay. In our Pro Series, we have the RW100 and the Sasquatch Bowie. They're both like bushcrafting knives.
Yeah.
The RW100 is one that you could, you could process game with. You could baton wood with it. Chop the firewood. It's like a survival knife, so you could use that for everything.
Yeah, 1095 blades, so it's super easy to resharpen for out there. Yeah,
it's got like on the spine of the knife. If the spine of the knife is like a sharp angle, you can use it on a ferro rod. Start fire.
For starting fires. Okay.
Yeah. So those two knives would be good for like as a replacement for like an axe if you don't want to carry an axe. Those would be what I would suggest. The Bowie, I don't know. You could process an animal with it, but it would be tough. It's like a bit.
It's a beast.
But yeah, no, we have some of those too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, I think in a pinch you'd be able to use some of these other fixed blades to do it too. Again, if you can only carry, say that would you call the C100? Is that
the RW100?
RW100. Is that what's the size of that knife? Is it like a big one, like almost like a Bowie, or is it smaller?
Yeah, it's probably a little smaller than a Bowie. It's probably, I think the blade's probably like 12 inches.
Yeah, so that might be something. That'd be more something like you'd probably keep in your truck, like you're going camping, you're doing something like that to be able to have. Because I definitely I've used hatchet and axe and everything my whole life, but I still get worried sometimes of especially you're out camping with the guys, you have a couple drinks, you think all of a sudden you're a lumberjack. You think you're a lumberjack. I got the wood. Hold on, let me stoke this fire.
I don't know if a sharp knife's a smart idea.
No, that's exactly right.
But yeah, that like if you're truck camping or something, like having one of those under the seat, would be perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I'm all for that. Like, I shouldn't. It's not unnecessary preparedness, but I like the idea of having things in places. Like in my truck, it's like I have specific knives that they stay in my truck, and I got one in my dash. I have one in my back bag. That's kind of like my oh shit bag. I'm stuck, and I need to get in there and grab stuff out of it. And I got a med kit everywhere. I got one that stays in my house. I got one that goes in my hunting bag. I got one that stays in my truck, and like I like that aspect of it. So, you give me a reason to be able to have something else there. Like
you're not alone. I'm the same way, but it's because like I forget things. So I like
that's exactly right.
Like if I was you and I was coming to a knife company, and I forgot my knife, I got one in my truck. Yeah. And I just pull it, ready to go.
Yep.
Hey, and I did, but my truck's also at the dealership, so I do. But
But no, I always have. I forgot. I have the Sasquatch Skinner in my truck actually, and I've got some Zippo fire starting product. It's Bradford, Pennsylvania, man. We get some crazy winters, and like you just never know what can happen, So like I like having that stuff with me.
Oh, dude, yeah. I always like. I think of the situations and almost like hope that I kind of get myself into them sometime so I can use the stuff that
my time to shine.
It's my time to shine. Then I'll forget to like restock it and then really get into a bad situation. But no, I'm the same way with like because of forgetting things. I did a podcast with my brother and my buddy Chris last year about when we were truck camping and like how we load out our vehicles and stuff. And it was my brother taught me this about like he's got a whole tote that he grabs like anything you need to cook or have anything at camp, like all your stuff is in there and it's separate from anything else you use in your house. This is only used when you go camping and have that. So then you grab that. Every time you grab that, you know what's in there and you're not forgetting anything because it's there. It's not something you got to, look on a list or try to go, I got to remember this knife. I got to remember, my fork for here. I need, it's just like everything is in that
one spot.
There was, really what I hate to even bring up COVID, but like what COVID did is I think it really people started realizing they need to be a little prepared. And so we actually had some really, really good, strong years throughout COVID because the knife and like the outdoor industry, when it came to the gear and stuff, really sort of boomed.
Oh, yeah.
And we saw that big time. And I really think there was like an emphasis on being prepared and having these types of, because it's a knife, but we call it a tool more than anything, because it really is.
Yeah, because you can and you can use them for other things in there.
Right.
They're necessarily intended for,
Right.
Yep. You use as a pry bar if you need to.
Yeah. Technically, like, we're not like Tom was saying, we're like disclaimer, but no. But seriously,
have we tried
it's
it?
the real world.
Probably,
yeah, right. Like real world situations, like you got to use what you got to what you have.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I love, like you said, planning for that stuff, and my truck's like it's an ever changing thing or ever evolving thing where I'm just trying to look at like, or I'll get myself into situations and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had this, oh man, I wish I had, a small onboard air compressor that I could do, it's like, run into this situation or what happens if this happens and going through it. And obviously you can overdo that to the point where now you have no room anywhere because you're just packed full of gear and you don't even know where it's at because you got too much stuff. And I've went down all those different rabbit holes, but it is kind of a fun thing. And I think it like I'm joking about it, acting like it's just something that I like to do, but at the same time, I do believe that it's very valuable to be that way and be prepared in those sort of settings too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and well, no, you drive a Chevy. I was going to say, everyone I saw here, a lot of Fords.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Ford country.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you?
I get a Toyota now.
Oh, yeah.
I had a Chevy before, and I had a Ram, so I'm not really that loyal. But now I'm a Toyota guy, so.
Yeah, your Toyota. You got a Taco?
I got a Tundra.
Yeah. Oh, you got a Tundra?
Yeah, I got a Tundra.
Nice.
Yeah, big boy stuff.
All right. Hey.
Who do you think he is?
Yeah,
Were you a little offended when I pulled in with the F-150?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, this is what you're going to drive.
Everybody in case marketing drives a Ford except for me.
Did you get the memo? Get the message?
Maybe I'm the only smart one.
All right.
But I will say, I literally just this past week had to put airbags in the back of my truck because the Tundra is apparently a little weak. They're not really meant for carrying loads. I've learned that. So like I put anything in the bed and it sag. Look like I'm doing a wheelie. I was like one of those guys going down the road and I'm like, this is terrible. So I literally just put airbags in it a couple days, or I had them a local off-road shop put a couple airbags in the back there for me, so I'm good to go. So nice. I can look,
What's it look like when you have your tent up there and you're sleeping in it? Is it?
What are you saying, Tom?
I'm just saying you're a built guy.
I'm strong. Muscle weighs a lot. No, but like literally just having my tent, my Diamondback on it, had it even sagging down a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I got to get that fixed. I will say I didn't have that problem with my Chevy, and I'm sure the Fords they got enough other problems. They're probably
there we go.
I like this guy.
Unreal. Because I don't have a matching shirt on. Is that why I'm getting? Is that why I'm getting?
Yeah, if you got the magic. What color is this? What would you call this?
I don't know.
Green, kind of like a seafoam green, seafoam green pocket shirts. I love the pocket shirts.
That is one thing.
I'm a big pocket guy.
Big pocket guy. Yeah, that's kind of a heritage thing too. That's something I'd see like my grandpa, wearing the pocket shirts and stuff. And I was
old guys that have like the cigarettes,
and
pens. And
yeah. I might just start carrying around cigarettes just because. Put them in there. Go full heritage.
Yeah, there you go.
Like now that I'm partnering up with Case, I got to go full heritage.
We got to put that in the brand book, Tom.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, let's go in.
Yeah, every pocket tee comes with a pack of cigarettes
and a Zippo lighter.
And a Zippo lighter. Yeah.
Now we're thinking.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this up, I wanted to have you guys explain a little bit more about like the Case like guarantee or however you call it, like the warranty that comes with it. Another thing, that's when I told my grandpa about the partnership. He explained everything to me again, and was really cool. And about like just talk a little bit about what Case does for that
lifetime guarantee, right? So we believe that we have a great product and we back that up with the lifetime guarantee. So if you lose a pin or a blade breaks, a scale breaks, you lose your shield, something happens, send it in to us, we'll get it repaired and send it out to you. It's that easy.
I mean, Zippo's big with that too. It really is like some pillars of the brand and the companies kind of as a whole, is backing our American-made product.
Yeah, it's like that American heritage, right? Like, back in the day, like everybody was super proud about what they made and they're going to, do whatever they can to make it right. And that's one thing that's carried over the years that we love to. We don't use it that much, because the product holds up.
Yeah.
But like if for some reason it doesn't, we'll fix it.
Or like that Zippo lighter in the museum that got hit by a train. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it was funny. There's the whole like destruction panel of like things that have happened, they had labels underneath it, which is pretty cool. If anyone's traveling through Bradford, PA, stop by the museum because it's open to the public, so anybody can go in. Pretty impressive place, and I'm embarrassed to say that I had never stopped there before. But
there's a lot of history in that museum.
There's a lot of
history.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff for sure.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. But no, I appreciate you guys giving me the tour here and showing me around and giving some education on some of the different types of knives and everything here, and hopefully everyone listening got some valuable information out of these two, even though I know that I could have found some better people, but
for sure.
This is what I was left with.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. No, thank you guys very much. So
thanks for coming.
where do you want to direct anybody to check out stuff?
Yeah, I mean, go out to caseknives.com. There's a lot of educational info on there. There's different knives. You can learn more about our steels and our blade shapes on the website. There's even a parent portal if you're interested to get like your kids interested in knives, how to use them safely, stuff like that. And then on our YouTube page has a lot of information as well, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep, Instagram, Facebook.
Yep. Usually our tag is at WRCase, so that's where you can kind of find us across the social channels. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Really, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it with your buddies. Leave us a rating, a review, and subscribe. If you want to check out more content like this, there's plenty in the links below. We truly appreciate having you guys along with us.